Well, hello there. I'm the old Growler, Pete LaFrance, and welcome to Meeting Expectations. Well, I tell you, what we do here at Meeting Expectations is we take a look at a can or a bottle of beer, we read on the label, see what it says, and then we find out if it meets expectations. For those of you who are new here, don't forget to click on the subscribe and the bell there so that you don't miss any of our presentations. Today we have a special guest, Fred Dex. He's come back, Master Sommelier. Fred, explain yourself for a few.
Yeah, hi, I'm Fred Dex, Pete's neighbor here in Brooklyn, and I'm more of a wine guy, but in the wine business we say it takes a heck of a lot of beer to make great wine. So I'm always interested in what we're up to today and tasting through some beers and see if they meet expectations, right? Cool.
Well, let's see what we've got today. Well, this one's a familiar one to everybody. The red, white, and blue of Budweiser.
King of beers.
That's the ticket.
But I don't know if it's the beer of kings.
Well, it's brought to you by the folks in Belgium, Unibev, which is owned, of course, by a Colombian family, I believe. So we can check it all out. I'll have it in the description box below. But let's see what they actually tell us on a can of Budweiser.
Okay. Really look. Beechwood aged, does it still say?
Yeah, this is the famous Budweiser beer. We know of no brand produced by any other brewer which costs so much to brew and age. Our exclusive Beechwood aging process produces a taste, a smoothness, and a drinkability you will find in no other beer at any price. The Great American Budweiser Lager Beer, 1876. King of beers, brewed by our original process from the choicest hops, rice, and best barley malt. Brewed and canned in the USA, Budweiser. And then on the back here, the Surgeon General warning me, since I'm pregnant, I shouldn't drink it. And I don't have to worry about that. And it says 1 pint, 5% alcohol by volume. Now that's interesting. Questions and comments. And that is no fat, 1.3 grams of protein, 10 grams of carbohydrates, 145 calories. All right, well, let's,
I'm interested in the protein here.
Yeah, I wonder where they came from. Okay, well, we pretty much, I'm sure, have both run across Budweiser in the past.
Yes.
But from what it said on the label here, let's crack this open, and what are we expecting? We're expecting something fantastic according to the label. And find no other beer at any price. Well, that sets the bar kind of high. Well, let's crack this open and see if it meets expectations.
We're even gonna get a nice glass here. The King of Beers deserves a nice big glass.
King size glass.
King size glass. There you go, sir.
All right.
You know, I've always been meaning to look up what Beechwood age means, and I still to this day do not know what Beechwood aging means or what it does.
Well, what it is actually is they take slats of beechwood and I wouldn't say crush them, but they slice them up into little pieces of beechwood and they toss them in during the fermentation.
Got it.
And what it does is it allows the yeast to have more of a surface area for fermentation.
Interesting.
So that's one of the reasons for it, and it really doesn't do that much to the flavor, but it's for the fermentation.
Wow.
So.
Well, in wine they'll use oak chips similarly, but it is for flavor. It's for that sort of fake vanilla, clove, spice notes.
Well, this is to get the. Well, let's take it. Well, it looks like Bud.
Yeah.
Does it smell like Bud?
I don't know.
Yeah. Now you notice something interesting right there. He took a sip before he took the aroma. Well, now there is a reason for that. Would you care to tell him?
Yeah, you know, when I'm teaching wine students about how to taste, blind taste, where you don't know what's in the glass and you're trying to figure out what wine it is, I found a shortcut sometimes is definitely giving the wine a look like a beer. So you got this really beautiful gold, light gold color here. So that tells me a little bit about the style and what sort of aromas I should be tasting or smelling with wine. So for example, a lighter red wine, lighter color, less pigment, you're gonna have more red fruits, you're gonna have more berries, raspberry, strawberry type things. Darker, something like a Malbec, inky, black fruit, black currant. So I'm already sussing that out, and then I quickly will take a sip so I can get all the texture. So for example, with this beer, there's not a lot of head on this beer, right? I mean, it's fairly light, the head here. So I'm not expecting a lot of carbonation. I'm expecting some. So with beer, I'd say I'm expecting carbonation. I'm expecting maltiness. What's the level of the maltiness? Also, if I don't get hops right away, I'm not expecting that hoppiness and the bitterness that you'd find in the IBUs that you sort of get your back. So with tasting wines, there's a couple structural components. You have tannins with reds, you have acidity all the time, white and red. Then you have the different types of textures of different grapes. If the wine's been aged in oak, it'll show some textural components there. Also the body, the alcohol gives indication of the light, medium, or full. So lower alcohol wines, lighter body. So I taste first, so I can get all those structural components sort of put in place, because oftentimes in wine tasting people will be smelling, and it'll take a long time to kind of get through all the different aromas, because we have fruit aromas, which are primary, secondary, depending on what it is. Then you have all the sort of like elusive aromas of flowers and mineral and spices, and that can take a long time to just go through those, especially with a more complex wine, because there's a lot more, and you're coming in there and you're second guessing yourself. So yeah. I like to get, so when I taste this, there's something called orthonasal, retronasal. So orthonasal is breathing in, retronasal is breathing out. And when you're tasting wine or a beer, you get that original flavor coming in, and then when I'm smelling, I'm getting like it's compounded for me. So the flavors are compounded, and I'm more easily able to really hone in on the very specific things. And if I'm looking for a specific grape variety or region or something like that, I think it gives me a little bit of an edge, you know, just that little edge to really sort of figure out what's really going on.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Sorry for the long explanation.
Yeah.
Hope you learned something there.
Let me try. So I haven't noticed this one yet, so I'm just gonna.
And I give it a little swish around. So like with the wine, I'll get it all. I'll try to coat all the pieces of the palate, because your palate will read different things. On the tip of the tongue, they say there's more sweet. On the sides, you'll get more acidity, sour. You know, your mouth will water. That's where you get that sort of mouth watering. The back of your tongue, you read bitterness. Tannins are often on the sides of the cheeks, and will like sort of like rip the moisture, strip the moisture out. But then when you go back and smell, you have the wine in your mouth
and the context.
Yeah, and especially with a glass, with this has got a pretty big opening. So this glass really, you know, you can get your whole face into this glass and really get a lot of the aromas. I mean, I think this glass does some justice to the bud. It gives the bud a little bit more richness and texture versus right out of the can. So
well, let's make sure that the temperature is, lagers should be around 40 degrees.
Yeah, you want to drink these guys colder.
Yep.
What are we at there?
And this one's up to 53, 52.
Is it going down?
52, no, that's about it. So it is a little warm.
Well, these glasses, you know, take in mind when you're tasting, these glasses are definitely going to warm up wine 5 degrees or beer 5 degrees within just a few minutes, because it has so much surface area for that to happen.
Oh.
Yeah. So I like these, you know, if I have a really cold white wine that's too cold in the fridge, it gets it right to that temperature within a few minutes.
Oh.
And then it's also great for reds if you keep your reds in cellar temperature. You know, it'll warm the wine up. But if you have a red wine at room temperature, I often will put it in the fridge for a few minutes.
To bring it down
to
50.
Maybe down to like 60 degrees from 73 or whatever the ambient temperature is. And then this glass does a nice job of keeping the red around 60 to 65 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly does wonders for the Budweiser here, I can say that. I was starting to get, usually it's an apple that I get from Budweiser, but I'm starting to pick up some other flavors that are in there. Yeah,
there's some sort of just like basic red delicious apple. You know, there's also a little maltiness. There's a little bit of like white flower or like a little floral note.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty simple beer.
Yeah.
It's actually quite it's quite refreshing.
It is.
There's nothing this way or that way. It's sort of, you know, you get what you expect here.
Yes.
But I will say this glass does make this beer taste pretty. I think it levels it up a little bit.
That's it. So, does Anheuser-Busch's Budweiser King of Beers meet expectations? It certainly does. In fact,
I think so.
we found out today maybe beats expectations.
Well, cheers to you.
Cheers. I'm Pete LaFrance, the old growler, hoping all of your beers meet expectations.
Cheerio.